Alright, hello everyone and welcome to today's Gems of War video. In this video I have for you my scouting report for Dhrak-Zum week, which will begin on May 20th, 2024. You can see Dhrak-Zum right there in the northeast corner of the overworld map. And in the underworld in the northeast corner of the map, you'll see Alithia, which is the relevant faction for Dhrak-Zum. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of the information for both Dhrak-Zum and Alithia. Dhrak-Zum is a stone kingdom, and its skill point bonus is an attack, which makes it a kingdom that you might be focused on. Its trait stone that drops is the Arcane Skull trait stone, which is also available in Darkstone. So if you're farming the Arcane Skull trait stone, you will still be able to do so during Dhrak-Zum week. Now, Dhrak-Zum's maximum power is only going up from 18 to 19. However, if you look at Alithia, you can see that Alithia has not been expanded yet. So after Dhrak-Zum week, if Alithia gets expanded first, then that would be enough to make Dhrak-Zum's maximum power go from 19 to 20. And keep in mind, you do have a lot of base mythics that you'll have to get in order to get all the way to maximum power 20, if that would be the case. But that's something to think about if you're looking at this as a kingdom that you want to get to power 20 sooner rather than later. The hero class for Dhrak-Zum is Slayer, and it makes your hero a dwarf. As far as the two dwarf hero classes that we have so far, I personally like Rune Priest better from Katsio, but both are okay, I suppose. They are not classes that you're likely to use when you don't need to make your hero a dwarf or make your hero from Katsio or Dhrak-Zum. As for Alithia, the Alithia's restriction is purple or blue, which is a pretty forgiving restriction in my opinion. It hasn't been expanded as I noted earlier. The Alithian Servitor and Hive Mind are pretty useful, but still fairly niche, so you don't tend to use those too much outside of pure faction. So if you don't have those yet, if you don't have them and you're looking to get other higher priority ones, then you can go and get those when the time. All right, so let's talk about the Core 4 and 4 more groups. The Core 4 is your Trials team as usual. We're going to start off with Chris Hound. Chris Hound reduces damage from skulls by 50% and gives you Stone Link, which is bonus brown mana from brown gem matches. But the value in the Chris Hound is actually Dispel, which halves an enemy's armor and life and creates 9 to 13 blue gems. It doesn't use blue gems itself, and unfortunately neither does anything else in your trial team. However, having your enemy's armor and life can level the playing field substantially, may even give you an advantage. But that said, Chris Hound is valuable early on in the battle, and as the battle goes on, his spell will do less and less. So you want to use them early on, and then you're done with him. Moving on to the Ice Troll. The Ice Troll is, all the trolls are pretty valuable in this game. This one creates a mix of blue and brown gems equal to the current blue and brown gems on the board. Doesn't use either one of those, so it does not self-charge, but it's still a really good troop to have. And you will use at least brown for King Bloodhammer. The blue is going to go to waste, unfortunately, for this team. King Bloodhammer is a base legendary, so this might be one that might be hard to get. It summons a Doomstorm when an enemy dies. His spell deals damage to the two strongest enemies and transforms all blue gems to Doom Skulls to boost the damage. This is the only thing that's going to be useful as far as the blue gems for your team that Chris Hound and Ice Troll are going to get. Bonebinder isn't going to use anything as far as blue gems on the board, but if you can make it so that you're matching a lot of Doom Skulls off the spell, getting an extra turn. This can be fair. This troop can be fairly useful. And we're going to uh, finish off with Bonebinder, which has Necromancy, which gives you 50% bonus skulls from battle, few immunities as well. He creates 7 Doom Skulls, summons either a Dwarven Zombie or Slayer Ghost, and you can find those in Dhrak-Zum's troop list. So yeah, this would be the order in which I would recommend using the troops in the Trials team. You're pretty much going to be winning this on the strength of King Bloodhammer. You'll be using Bloodbinder mostly as a resummon in case your Chris Hound goes down. And yeah, aside from that, that's kind of the way I did the Epic Trials last time they were offered. So the other 4 troops that I would recommend that you pay attention to and see if you want to pick them up. Again, the first 3 I'm going to show you are going to be in the event key drop table, and then I'll give you a base mythic to consider if you don't have a base mythic already. So the first one I'm going to suggest is Living Rhyme. Living Rhyme is one of the shiny troops in the game. It has ice armor, which reduces damage from skulls by 65%. It does damage to an enemy, and there's a 50% chance to freeze all enemies below that enemy. So you do that damage to the topmost enemy, and then try to freeze the other 3. And then Moira Cragheart is a dwarf that you can get from Dhrak-Zum. Godslayer, but that's not the reason why I'm specifically recommending her, because we do not have the relevant event that she would use that bonus for. But she does damage to an enemy, and if they are a boss, a bunch of other things. But after that, she converts all green gems to Doom Skulls. That gives you enough. If you add her to a team that already has King Bloodhammer, which is this one right here that we talked about earlier, that gives you 2 options to be able to convert gems to Doom Skulls, either green through Moira Cragheart or blue through King Bloodhammer. And that can turn the tide pretty well in your favor. And then I also recommend Glaceon. Glaceon also has ice armor that we talked about before. Gains 3 attack when the enemy matches skulls. So it's when the other side matches skulls that he gains more attack. He transforms yellow to blue and transforms red to Doom Skulls. You can see kind of a pattern in what I'm recommending for these. Recommending a lot of different troops that can convert gems to Doom Skulls. So if you have someone at the top of your lineup that has a high attack, you're just basically doing that damage as much as possible. It also freezes the strongest enemy, assuming that the strongest enemy can be frozen. As for the base mythic to go for, I'm going to keep in mind that this dragon right here is one of the gem dragons. So you can only get this dragon from hatching the gem dragon eggs. And even though I have Fallen Valdez in my lineup right there, she's only there as a placeholder. She does damage to all enemies, which is fine. Explodes Doom Skulls boosted by divine enemies, then silences divine enemies. The problem with her is that there's absolutely no reason to use her unless you know for a fact that you're going up against all divine opponents, which makes her extremely niche. But the right answer is really Obsidious, which is the one I don't have. Does heavy splash damage to a random enemy, destroys a 5x5 block, and then a 50% chance to deal light splash damage to a random enemy. So 2 random enemies, it can backfire a little bit if he's targeting the topmost and the bottommost enemy, which means that the splash damage will only affect one other enemy, but it's still pretty good. Earthquake stuns all enemies on 4 or 5 gem matches, which can be useful, but overall, I mean, neither Obsidius or Fallen Valdez, in my opinion, are all that useful. I think I would rather have Obsidius than Fallen Valdez, but if you've got the Gem Dragon, you're probably good to go, and you don't have to worry about either one of the others, unless you're trying to get all of the troops to get to power 20 later down the road. As for the weapons, there's a lot of weapons here for the low power level that it has. So realistically, you only need about 8 of these. I believe 8 of them is what you're going to need in order to get this to power 20, assuming that you leveled it all up. One weapon as kind of to keep in mind, Ring of Crystal Ice. You'll get this weapon along the way if you're still going for Diamantina. And of the other weapons that are very useful, we've got the Stone Slicer, which does damage to an enemy boosted by construct allies and creates purple and brown gems for each construct ally. This is a weapon that I occasionally forget is in Dhrak-Zum and not in Hellcrag. It is a decent weapon in my opinion. The next one to talk about is Korag's Invention, which does damage to an enemy boosted by Dhrak-Zum allies and creates a mix of 6 blue and brown gems for each Dhrak-Zum ally. Then you've got Keg's Crusher, which does kind of a similar thing. Damage to an enemy boosted by dwarf allies, 6 blue and brown gems for each dwarf ally. So those are the good ones to get. Of course, Glowing Core explodes brown gems, grants a random status effect to all construct allies, and summons a construct troop. This is actually pretty good in my opinion in some of the Hellcrag teams, assuming that you can grab this one, because it doesn't use those brown and purple restrictions that you see in a lot of the really good Hellcrag troops, but it can summon. So if you don't want to use the Obsidian Librum because you're worried about mana blocking, you can go with this and not mana block. And I think that is mostly... Oh yeah, we also have to talk about this one. This is a type of weapon that I promised people I would pay more attention to. This weapon is one of the 3 component weapons that you need in order to create the Duskbringer. It is the Duskbringer. So if you want to make the Duskbringer, you need to get this weapon during Dhrak-Zum week if you don't already have it. And then you'll need the 1,000,000 souls and whatever else you need to make the Duskbringer weapon, which is actually worth having. The Death Dealer is the weapon that you get for 250 wins in the Slayer class. It does damage to an enemy. If the enemy is bleeding, it deals double damage, and then a 10% chance to slay them, boosted by Doom Skulls at a ×2 ratio. Depending on who you have in the team with this, you can have a number of Doom Skulls on the board, and if you get, for example, 10 of them on the board, that would give you a boost of 20%, so that'd be 30%. It's fine. I think it's good. I think it's okay, but I wouldn't worry too much about this. You do have 2 doomed weapons right now, and there's another one coming. So these 2 doomed weapons you might consider if you don't already have them. The Doomed Blade is one of the better weapons that's available in the game. It's the one that does damage to all enemies with transforming red gems to Doom Skulls. Overall, these are the type of weapons. When you see these weapons, if you don't already have them, you might want to pick them up, even if you cannot temper them right now. If you get them right now, then you'll be able to temper them later. The Doomed Heirloom, is the one that gives a bunch of magic to all allies if it is fully tempered. It really does have to be fully tempered in order for this to work properly. It also needs to be in a near pure blue team as well in order to get the most value out of it. So it is significantly more niche than the Doomed Blade, and I would only recommend picking up the Doomed Heirloom if you already have the Doomed Blade fully tempered and you might be looking for another blue weapon to work on. And then we'll go all the way to the pets. Right now, there's only 4 pets that are even possible in Dhrak-Zum right now. Rockweiler is the Kingdom bonus pet, so you get the regular Rockweiler and the Starry Rockweiler. Harry Hoarder is a team bonus for Rogue, and in order to get this bonus, you'll need at least 3 unique Rogue troops in your team. And Hamster Thalamus is the pet for Alithia, so you'll get that as you go far into Alithia, and you will get it mythic once you have maxed out your renown for Alithia. All right, let's wrap up everything with a discussion of the 3 events to keep in mind for Dhrak-Zum week. First, you have the Red Tower of Doom, which is the guild event for this week. It is obviously a red restriction, and we'll be getting a new doomed pole arm. The pole arms have been pretty useful, so keep in mind that has to be your weapon in order to get the ×2 multiplier, which your guild and everyone else is going to want. So no Wand of Stars in the in the Tower of Doom. Leave the Wand of Stars in PvP where it belongs. But anyway, we also have a Kingdom Pass, which is going to begin in this week. Kingdom Pass is for Whitehelm. As far as I can tell, it is a 2-week Kingdom Pass, although I have heard conflicting stories of how long it's going to go. For now, assume it's going to be 2 weeks. And the weekend event is going to be the Bounty. And the Bounty Hunter that we're going to be adding is from Kotsiel, unless they change their mind. But assuming we get a Bounty Hunter from Kotsiel, that will make Kotsiel's maximum power go up to 28. That's not quite to level 30, but it's getting there. So that's everything you need to know for Dhrak-Zum week. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. Consider subscribing to this channel and/or following me on Twitch if you'd like to see more of my content. Leave a comment below. Let me know everything I got right and everything I got wrong, and I'll see you in the next video.